Today on Style with Trish, we have two amazing guests. We have Stephanie Herbert and we have Rasheid Edwards, and they're going to be speaking to us about having good mental health. Stay with us.
Every day a woman raised. It's time to live your dreams. Nothing's gonna stop you now. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Every day a woman raised. Every day a woman raised.
Welcome back to Style with Trish. I'm your host, Trish Standley, and I have my next guest, which is none other than Rasheid Edwards. He's going to be here talking to us about hypnosis and things of the mind. Welcome to the show, Rod.
Thank you for having me, Miss Trish.
We go back as well. We worked close to almost, 10 years together?
Yeah, at least.
And for AT&T as well.
Mm-hmm.
And you're also one who has transitioned. Before we get into what you're doing now, what was your transition from corporate America into following your dreams, and how did you know it was time?
I'll try to make this as brief as I can. I knew it was time because this has been something that has always been a part of me. So when I talk about it, it's more really like a calling. Like this is what my life kind of culminated into as a purpose for my life. So I'd run from it for a long time. And finally, at some point, I had to answer the call and be true to myself. So when I did, it was like a homecoming of sorts.
And you had a full-fledged family, wife, children, and made that huge leap of faith. But you were, for many years, you were juggling the 9-to-5 as well as schooling, and you did it.
Yeah.
But it was, I'm sure you had gotten to the point where you were like, okay, now it's time to go. There were signs, you said, that that it was time for you to part. And when you part, everyone was like, oh my God. And it was funny because sometimes you get so fixated on that paycheck and the consistency of that you tend to allow that to keep you stuck. Absolutely.
The world of entrepreneurship is a lot different from corporate America. And so, you have to continue to hunt to eat.
Yes.
And that's a different type of thing because, corporate America, you come, you sit at your desk, you do your job, and you can kind of bank on that check. But if you don't hunt out here, you don't eat. So you got to get it.
I'm going to steal that line. Okay, so let's talk more about Mental Infinity. Why did you name your company that?
Mental Infinity. It was something that just came to me one night when I was thinking about the work that I do, particularly the work in hypnosis. And so I kind of look at it in terms of we all are individuals and we have our individual minds, but then we're also connected to the mind of the divine or the infinite. And so Mental Infinity was born out of that idea.
Okay. And it's really, I remember when you first came up with it, we were working together, and you were actually, to be fair to corporate America, you were actually given a couple of opportunities where you could do your thing with our team. So Stress, you helped us with that. And so that's when I really knew this man is not going to be here long. He does not need to be here. You're also an author and a speaker. Can you share some of your books? I know you brought one here today, but can you share some of the books that you have available?
Yes. So the book that I brought today is A Secret Commitment. It's a self-help book, and it outlines what I consider to be 7 key principles for goal achievement and ultimately transformation. So that's a self-help book. I also have another book I wrote in 2020, or I published in 2020, called Mental Health Matters. And that book is more along the lines of understanding the importance of mental health and for just, everyday people, how to understand Like maybe, do I need to go see someone? What can I expect if I go see someone? What is the experience going to be like? What are some signs that I may need to see someone? What are some things that I could do to help support someone who may be in crisis? Coping skills and things of that nature.
Okay, I need to get that. Really, and what do you think about society today? You know, it just seems like, and this is probably before COVID, but especially during the course of COVID, where we're seeing just random people just being random. Do you think that was those mental issues? Because I feel like some of them are mental. Some of those situations are underlying mental issues that were always there, but because of the crisis we all found ourselves in, a lot of it was uncovered from people.
Yeah. I absolutely believe that since COVID, we've had to kind of be sequestered or be in confined spaces. And so the more it's kind of like being put, you know, how they take pottery and they fire it in the kiln. We're going through a process now that's kind of burning out some of the impurities. So that stuff comes up now. So they even talk about, you know, couples. You know, one of the things is in marriages, it can be difficult when you're together all the time. And so with couples, like you see a lot of issues with those who haven't resolved things because now you don't have a choice. You got to be in confined spaces. And so it kind of brings out a lot of things that we haven't dealt with and brings to light mental health issues. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's because I was like, this is something. It's either satanic or it's mental, and it could be both. I don't know, but it's just been a lot, you know, where they have the term now, the Karens that are going off, and that's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
those are the ones that, and I'm not talking specifically to them, but or about them, but just to give an example.
Right.
But we're going to take a really quick break here, and we're going to come back, and we're going to talk more about hypnosis. And I have a little funny I have to remind you about on that.
Yes.
We'll be right back.
When times get dark, we can't see the help that's all around us. Let 211 be your guiding light for mental health and other resources. Call 211 or visit 211.org.
Hey guys, this is Trish Standley. Catch up on season 1 of Style with Trish by going to trishstanley.com. If you are not able to catch the show on YouTube, make sure you go to my website, trishstanley.com, and check out our podcast. This is a place where the everyday woman reigns. trishstanley.com. Welcome back to Style with Trish. We're going to continue our conversation with Rasheid Edwards, who is the CEO of Mental Infinity. Before we went to the break, I said I was going to remind you about a little funny. Yeah, before we start talking about hypnosis.
I think I already know what you're talking about.
Well, he had offered on the job to we were asking to hypnotize, and I was like, there ain't no way. I'm not going to be walking around sounding like no cat. And so, but you gave the analogy that really made sense. I still don't want to be hypnotized unless I have to be, but you made a lot of sense in your explanation of it. You said, have you ever been driving? You remember this? You said, have you ever been driving and you find yourself somewhere and you're like, okay,
Yeah.
how did I get here? Or you said that's a form of hypnosis.
Yeah, they call it highway hypnosis.
Okay.
But so to understand hypnosis, I'll just say briefly, hypnosis is synonymous to trance.
Okay.
So what is trance? Trance is like when we zone out, when we're in a daydream. So in hypnosis, all I do is I take that trance and I expand it. Because scientifically, they tell us that the alpha brainwave frequency is the most suitable frequency for learning and assimilating information. So if you go look up alpha brainwave frequency and see what the characteristics of alpha, they'll tell you it's like being in a daydream, slightly dazed or trance. So that's essentially, what a hypnotist does. But hypnosis, here's the thing. Hypnosis is like having the cheat codes to life. So if you've ever played a video game and, a lot of people play games, they'll go find the codes and then they'll start winning and beating everybody. And that's what hypnosis is like. You could go and look at celebrities, and celebrity after celebrity, you'll find out that they did hypnosis. Tiger Woods, known for doing hypnosis for his golf game. Shaquille O'Neal did hypnosis for basketball. Kelly Rowland of Destiny's Child did hypnosis.
Okay.
And I got a long list of people that I make note of on my site because, again, when you look at wealthy people, they have resources. So they do things to make the best use of their resources. So we average people can do the same. And so when you have hypnosis, it's like doing hypnosis will allow you to become the best version of yourself. So a lot of things we deal with, from anxiety, depression, low self-esteem, all of these issues we have, they're internal issues. And so a lot of times people think it's circumstances, but there's a statement that says things are neither good or bad. Thinking makes it so.
Right.
And so hypnosis helps you get more in control of your thinking and how you feel about things and making the best use of your own internal resources.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about some of the most common reasons why people would seek out hypnosis. And I think you mentioned before that if you had a desire to stop smoking and things of that nature, what are some other that are not, it may not be high level things, but what are some other things that people may want to be put under hypnosis for?
So in my recent workshop, I started calling hypnosis my own mental version of Frank's Red Hot barbecue sauce. I put it on everything. So literally, I mean, if there's something that you want to be better at or you want to change, hypnosis is the tool for it, because everything starts in the mind. So whether it's weight loss, smoke cessation, anger, anxiety, depression, inability to be able to be in public, or inability to speak in front of large groups. I mean, we could go on and on. Nail biting, nose picking,
You had
anything.
me at weight loss. I'm sold there on that one. So what is, just briefly, we have a few minutes left. Just briefly, what is that experience like to be under hypnosis?
So you've seen it. Okay. But here's what the individual will experience. So first thing I want people to know, hypnosis is not mind control. Okay. It's not devil worship, hoodoo, voodoo. It's not satanic or anything like that. It is a natural phenomenon. So when you're hypnotized, you can experience, you'll kind of be fading in and out of awareness. Like you'll hear me talking, and then you'll kind of just drift off, and whatever your mind takes you to, you'll be doing that. And then you'll come back and you'll have like glimpses of, I'm here and then I'm gone. I'm here and then I'm gone. So that's what it's like.
Well, thank you so much for explaining that. I think you can convince me to get it done for weight loss.
I mean, look, if you want, we could do it on camera so you...
No. Well, we thank you for coming.
Thank you
and
for having me.
for always educating us. It's been really enlightening, the conversation we had. Guys, thank you for hanging out with us. Make sure you go check out Rasheid Edwards' book, and we will be right back.
Hi guys, it's Dr. Cassandra Parks Evans, affectionately known as Dr. Sand, and this is your segment of Let's Learn Love. Hi guys, it's Dr. Cassandra Parks Evans, affectionately known as Dr. Sand, and this is your segment of Let's Learn Love. I am going to talk about fighting fair today. Fighting fair is a necessity with anybody, not necessarily a spouse or a partner, but anybody that you come in contact with. So I'm going to give you some quick little tips to make sure that we fight fair. One thing that I would say when it comes to fighting fair is mark all your points down. Write all your points down that you want to talk about, because this keeps you on track and it keeps you onto that topic. Second thing I will always say is bring a solution when you bring an issue to a person. This also gives you a way to have a talking point, because sometimes when we're fighting or we're having an argument or a discussion, we don't have anything to suggest to make a change about. So make sure that you bring a solution if you do bring an issue. And the third one is make sure you stay on topic. There's a lot of things that go on. There's a lot of things you can pull from the past, but we want to make sure that we stay on topic so we can get a resolution to this. What do you think? Again, let me know. Follow me on social media and let me know what you think about fighting fair. And again, this is Dr. San with your Let's Learn Love segment for today.
Hey guys, this is Trish Standley. Catch up on season 1 of Style with Trish by going to trishstanley.com. If you are not able to catch the show on YouTube, make sure you go to my website, trishstanley.com, and check out our podcast. This is a place where the everyday woman reigns. trishstanley.com. Welcome to Style with Trish. I'm your host, Trish Standley, and I have a wonderful guest here with me today. She's not only a wonderful person, but she's a wonderful friend. She is none other than Stephanie Herbert. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Trish. Glad to be here.
We're going to be talking today on a topic that is very sensitive to our culture, and that is the importance of getting therapy and counseling. And you are that. Share with us your background in that field.
Okay. So I am a licensed professional counselor, LPC for short, requires a master's degree. And I've been licensed now for about 7 years.
Okay. And you started your own, is practice the right term?
That would be the right term.
Okay.
Yes.
So you started your own
Private
practice, on the moment counseling service. How did you come up with the name?
One thing that stood out to me is being present in the moment, and that is kind of my mantra. Just being present in the moment. It releases the anxiety. It just being present. So that's where the name came from. On the moment.
On the moment counseling. What has been some of the, from your experience, has been some of the most challenging issues that clients have or potential clients have in not seeking out therapy?
Being stuck. So I would say my most challenging is one, dealing with young children, teenagers. I do see children from 12 and up.
Okay.
And not having the parents' support in the therapy, because whatever is being taught in therapy or, the work that we do needs to be reinforced at home.
Okay.
So a lot of time that can be challenging.
Okay. Now we worked together
Yes.
for a long time, and that's when we became friends. Can you share with us, because one of the things that we like to share with our audience is that you can work one career and it may be the career that you have to work to support your family, but it's still very important for you to transition and follow your dreams and go after what it is that you really, really want to do in life. What was your transition like, and when did you know it was time?
Wow. So the reason I'm here, the reason I do counseling is because I always wanted to help people. And even though I did that with AT&T in a different, I would call it a different modality, customer service, still helping people.
Right.
But I felt that I wanted more of a hands-on approach, or more direct patient care or client care. And so, I think it was when AT&T started talking about looking at the future, some transitions, and I took that opportunity, took that early retirement package, and set my mind on fulfilling my purpose, which I felt at the time was helping people. So I decided to go back to school full time.
Yes, you did.
And, get the paperwork that I needed to pursue counseling. And that's how it happened for me.
And you had teenagers at the time, so your children were not full adults. So that was you took a big risk.
Yeah.
Because you have children at that time, but you still did it, and you still landed on 2 feet.
Yes.
And doing very well.
Yes, yes.
May I say? When you mentioned AT&T, it just made me think of a funny story. We were just two of a kind. And I remember the time that our group had gone on a lunch, and you and I decided to stay. Do you remember?
Oh,
we
yeah.
decided to stay. And what we did, because we were in a very rambunctious group of people, and what we did while they were gone, we got anointing oil and anointed everybody's phone.
Oh, yes.
So people were coming back, what is this on my phone? That was so fun. I
That
just had
was
to go
funny.
back down memory lane.
and the breakthroughs that happen after that.
Yes, that's a whole nother show.
Oh, yes.
Whole other show.
Yes.
Okay, one of the services that you offer is Holistic Foundation. We're going to take a quick break here in a second, but gather your thoughts. I want you to kind of break what that means, Holistic Foundation. And we're going to also talk about some of the services, specific services that you provide. Is that good?
That sounds good.
All right. All right, guys, we're going to take a really quick break. And when we come back, we'll have more with Stephanie Herbert. We'll be right back.
When times get dark, we can't see the help that's all around us. Let 211 be your guiding light for mental health and other resources. Call 211 or visit 211.org.
Hey guys, this is Trish Standley. Catch up on season 1 of Style with Trish by going to trishstanley.com. If you are not able to catch the show on YouTube, make sure you go to my website, trishstanley.com, and check out our podcast. This is a place where the everyday woman reigns. trishstanley.com. Welcome back to Style with Trish. I am with my guest, Stephanie Herbert, who is the owner of On the Moment Counseling Services. And before the break, you were going to share with us the type of services that you offer, especially focusing on the Holistic Foundation.
Okay. So the services that I offer are individual counseling, marriage counseling. I do marriage enrichment.
Okay.
I also do couples as well as children from 12 and up.
Okay.
And then the holistic approach, it's mental wellness from the mind, body, soul, and spirit. Okay. I think that those are all important aspects of a whole person. Mm-hmm. And when you're working on your internal or your mental, it's healthy to have your mind, body, soul, and spirit also in tune.
Yeah.
So,
and what would you say to someone who doesn't necessarily feel like therapy or counseling is important to them or important for them?
What I like to do, sometimes if I have, say, a husband and wife come in, and one or the other, it wasn't their idea to do counseling.
Usually the husbands, but go ahead.
Usually. I like to get them to understand that just like if you had a problem with your heart, you would go see a cardiologist. If you had a problem with your bones, or, you would go see an orthopedic specialist. And similarly with mental, in order to understand your emotions or to understand what you may be experiencing, a lot of times the symptoms shows up as something else.
Right.
And so I think it's important when you are, trying to be whole or working on yourself to counseling can definitely help with those mental components.
Yeah. It was funny because I had read in Michelle Obama's book, Becoming, that they regularly go to counseling, and they are a couple that a lot of people admire their relationship, and part of that healthiness is the fact that they do active therapy. And especially in a marriage, when you're two, if the wife has a problem, you all have a problem.
That's
when
right.
the husband has a problem, you all have a problem. And so for one to go and one not to go, that would be fearful for me, because I would think that somebody's going to outgrow or somebody's going to heal and someone's not going to be unhealed, and it's going to cause an issue. Have you found, or will you counsel a married couple where one is coming and one is not?
I will, simply because a lot of times people come in individually.
Okay.
It may be one spouse coming in first. When it happens that way, I will start off with the spouse that shows up.
Okay.
And so if a spouse is able to get the other spouse there, a lot of times, sometimes they see the benefit and they'll continue coming.
Okay.
But understanding, it takes a willingness. That is one of the things with counseling is you have to be willing, because as you mentioned, it's an active process. I do tell my clients when they agree to do therapy that it is an active process.
Right.
That they have to be willing to do the work.
And that leads to my next question. Are there any expectations that, from your perspective as the counselor, have on the clients?
Well, being willing is definitely one, and being active. So, talk therapy is one thing. Usually people come in, they identify, they tell me what's going on and what the issues are. And going back to that holistic approach, I spent a lot of time in the history. A lot of times we can determine what's going on in the present based on your past. I call it the broken inner child.
Wow.
I think we all have a broken inner child. And a lot of times you are not aware that you have this brokenness until you're in relationship.
Yes.
And especially in a marriage, it's a marriage is really two histories colliding. And so you start to see those things where you may be projecting onto your spouse or your mate, things from your past that you haven't healed from. And that's kind of how it shows up.
Right. Well, I think I had an opportunity to go and sit down and speak with someone, and I had never even thought about, I knew I had a lot of issues, but I never thought about, because it's somewhat of a stigma in our community.
Yeah.
But I never thought about it until I got to that particular point, in my life at that time. And so it was very, very, very therapeutic. When I went, I didn't just go, I took my notepad, I would write notes because some days I'm in there, I'm laughing, and some days I'm boohoo crying, and I remember the very first session that I had, I was on my way home and I just had a panic attack. I just told this woman all my business, and I just freaked out. But then once I calmed down, I felt so much better. It was such a level of release.
Yeah.
And so you have to go to someone who you trust. You have to go to someone who is licensed and experienced as yourself. And I just want to let people know that, it's okay. It's okay to want to heal. It's actually great that you want to heal yourself and take that chance. And you might freak out that first time, but the more you go, the more release you'll be able to have. But it's been great talking to you and catching up. Is there any last advice that you would give to anyone who may be on the teetering on, should I go or should I not go?
Well, I would say, just like you said, I think I look at counseling like personal development. You have professional development and personal development. And, if you find yourself feeling stuck, or you find yourself feeling as if life is just status quo and you don't know what to do or where to go, I think counseling will allow you to release, as you stated. It allows you to heal those broken parts of yourself, and a lot of times you're not even aware of how broken you are until you actually get in front of someone. And not allow those stigmas that have plagued our culture for so long to stand in the way, because it really is a holistic healing. It really, helps with all aspect of you as a human.
Yeah.
and we need to be able to have someone to talk to.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for coming and hanging out with me.
Well, it's been a pleasure. It has truly been a pleasure.
Well, thank you. We're going to take a quick break, and after this message, we will be right back.
Hey everybody, I'm Stephen Gibbs, owner and operator of Gibbs Enterprise. We do home improvement, home repairs, deck rebuilding, deck construction, plumbing, and carpentry. You need it, we can do it, just give us a call. Interior painting, exterior painting, pressure washing, drywall repair. You need it, we can do it. Demo work, when you need it, we got it. Call us up at 770-713-2059. We do great work for great prices.
Hey guys, this is Trish Standley. Catch up on season 1 of Style with Trish by going to trishstanley.com. If you are not able to catch the show on YouTube, make sure you go to my website, trishstanley.com, and check out our podcast. This is a place where the everyday woman reigns. trishstanley.com. I would like to thank both of my guests today, Stephanie Herbert, as well as Rasheid Edwards. I received so much from them, and I would really like for us as a people to really take our mental health seriously. I know in my personal situation, when I needed help, I thank God that I had someone that I could reach out to who looked like me, sounded like me, and shared similar life experiences. And so I encourage you, if you feel like you need to speak with someone and get some things off your shoulders and clear that air and start healing, I ask that you please seek out a professional that will help you and assist you. Thank you guys again for joining us, and thank you for watching. Remember that love isn't love unless you give it away.